The Villanova Wildcats are a winner in the first round of the Big East Championship, 80-48. The Cats beating Georgetown. They will take on Creighton, 9:30 Eastern Time tomorrow night, FS1. And we're here with Justin Moore. We're here with head coach Kyle Neptune. Kyle, let's start with you. What'd you make of the way that your guys set the tone to the week at Madison Square Garden?
It's funny you said that because that's exactly what we want to do to start this game. We want to come out and set the tone and play as hard as we possibly could. I thought the gentleman here to my left did a great job. He's the leader of our team, and I thought he did a great job leading us out there, especially defensively. And I thought the first couple minutes kind of carried us to the win just because of how hard we played.
Justin, you come out swinging. You come out hitting 4 threes in that first half. Just how much fun is it when you walk into this building, how comfortable you are, and those bright lights are shining to know, hey, it's Big East tournament time?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Big East is the best basketball you can play in this arena, and I'm just excited to be out there with my guys and trying to compete for a championship.
I'll ask you this first, and I'll ask Coach. You know, this group has now won 7 of their last 9 games. And since you've come back, everybody else seems to elevate. What have you seen from the guys around you that's allowed for everybody to just settle in here and play with even more confidence?
Yeah, I think for one, it gives us more depth. I mean, I think guys are getting a little tired out there having to play more minutes and do things they're not usually doing. So I think me coming out there kind of just leadership-wise and then setting the tone where I could put guys in great positions to succeed.
Kyle, I think of Cam Whitmore, who tonight in his postseason debut for your program goes for 19 points in this game. But how much have you seen this guy coming into the equation, allowing maybe your Big East Freshman of the Year to just be around winning habits and all those things that come with it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think Justin Moore is one of the 5 best players in America. If I had to start a team, probably starting it with him. And, he does literally everything. So you add someone to your lineup who is a great defender, a versatile defender, can guard literally anyone, and then offensively can pretty much do everything as well, from post up to, shoot on the perimeter, make plays for other guys. So you add someone like that to your lineup, and then not to mention what he does leadership-wise. So when you add someone like that to your team, obviously it makes you better.
Creighton is next tomorrow night, guys. I'll begin with you. What's the thought process with the Blue Jays and the challenges that they present that you and your guys are going to be aware of?
Yeah, man, they're a great team, well coached. They get up and down really fast, so we got to get back on defense. And with them, they just have a lot of weapons. It's not just 1 or 2 guys who can score the ball and make plays. They have multiple guys who can do that, so we just got to lock in on them. Kyle,
I'll ask you this question because Creighton has a 2-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year in Ryan Kalkbrenner. And in the last meeting, it was Eric Dixon who had 31 points. When on the other side is a guy who's voted by the coaches as the top defender in the league, how important is Eric Dixon tomorrow night in that matchup?
I mean, I'm sure Eric Dixon is an extremely important piece of our team, offensively and defensively. But I think he would tell you that's not how we look at it. It's a team game. We're not focused on any individual matchup. We're trying to come out as a team and play as hard as we possibly can for 40 minutes.
All right, I'll leave you guys with this. You get the Creighton Blue Jays from Nebraska. We know Philadelphia is closer than Nebraska. And since 2014, the Villanova Wildcats are 28-3 inside Madison Square Garden. How much do you feel like this is a second home?
Well, I think we love playing at the Garden. We're like you mentioned, it's not far from our campus. There's great history here. Obviously, it's one of the most hallowed places in all of basketball, period. So to say that we don't like playing here, I'd be lying to you. This is a great spot. But for us as a team, we got to just kind of nail down and focus on what we have to do and play Villanova basketball for 40 minutes.
Where do you put Coach's suit game?
Nah, it's definitely up there. Very versatile. He mixes it up every game. So, it's definitely up there with the best of them.
What is needed in the month of March? Because tonight, you got to bring something else out, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We'll see the Cats tomorrow night. We'll see that new suit tomorrow night. Kyle Neptune, Justin Moore, thank you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Villanova a winner, and we appreciate their time. They're going to head back to the hotel. This is Big East Shootaround. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll recap the entire day at the Big East Championship next. Thanks, fellas. See you tomorrow night. Appreciate We welcome you to Big East Shootaround from the Big East Tournament inside Madison Square Garden, deep into this Wednesday night, recapping the round one triple header. I'm with the guys. He is Vin Parisi. He is Tariq Turner. And welcome to the show. Fellas, day one in the Big East Tournament did not lack drama. In fact, we saw it in front of a capacity crowd in game two. We'll get to that in a few moments, but we know what's happening in the quarterfinals tomorrow. As we update the bracket here, here's your slate. Noon Eastern time, as Garden security is rabid and raucous.
People still have energy, John, in the tunnel, in the hallway, as they're leaving this evening.
They do. Noon Eastern time tomorrow, Marquette and St. John's. Let's start right there. The Johnnies win 76-63 over Butler in game one of the tournament. Tariq Turner, your takeaway from St. John's today was?
Balanced scoring. I mean, it wasn't just one or two guys. You know, obviously you think about Joel Soriano and Posh Alexander, but 5 guys in double figures. They shared the ball. Obviously they made shots, but I thought they just controlled tempo from the start to the finish. And Joel Soriano continues to dominate. Double-double for him. That's become the norm. Posh Alexander's playing with more confidence. The last 4 or 5 games, he's been the best stretch of his career, best stretch of games he's played this season, I would say. And when those two guys are playing well, they're hard to beat. And, look, they believe. I mean, tomorrow is going to be a great matchup between them and Marquette, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, and, you know, these two teams just hooked up recently in Milwaukee, and it was a crazy game, a crazy ending, and went down to the final seconds. I also think we need to keep an eye on the intangibles in this one because the Johnnies out-rebounded Butler by 25, crushed them on the boards tonight, 20 offensive rebounds alone. And as we know, there's times, and Shaka has talked about this, to where as good as the Golden Eagles are, there's times they have smaller lineups out there, and defensive rebounding could be, you know, an issue. I think these teams are going to get after it, and I think that you're going to see the backboards be a major factor in this one.
You're talking about a point guard and Tyler Kolek in that matchup who has totaled 246 assists to 73 turnovers in his last 3 games, fellas. Kolek has 34 assists combined. He has been a machine, but he's got to deal with Posh Alexander. I thought today Alexander hitting some early shots, sort of alleviating the pressure off the rest of the guys.
Yeah.
Tariq, when he is creating some offense and able to knock down those shots, what's it do for St. John's?
Well, the difference in Pasha's game now and early in the season is he's shooting the 3 with confidence. And when he makes shots, it just opens up things for the whole team because naturally he's a pass-first, shoot-second point guard, and teams go under everything on him. But now they have to think about it. Posh Alexander's shooting the ball a lot better. You got to think about going over the screen because he's knocking down multiple threes per game the last few games. And the most important thing, guys, is he's playing with more confidence. Earlier in the season, he struggled with confidence. He talked about it openly. And now he's playing the way we're used to seeing him play, with no hesitation, shooting the ball with confidence, shooting a 3. Before earlier in the season, he would hesitate, and now he's just letting it fly, and you can see that the game has become a lot easier for him.
Well, and remember this one. This is a 19-hour turnaround for the Johnnies. And obviously
That's
we know
a good thing.
We know there's a different juice when you're in here at noon on quarterfinal Thursday at the Garden at MSG, especially, you know, with their fan base here. And now you have Marquette, who's itching.
Yeah.
They're itching to get it going. You know, controlling your emotions and getting after it defensively without picking up early fouls, staying on the personnel that you guys brought up, Tyler Kolek, Posh Alexander, Dylan Adewusu, these are all the primary ball handlers. Yeah. It will change the pace and the flow for both teams if any of those guards pick up early ones. That's something to keep an eye on early.
Can St. John's contain the head of the snake in the Big East Player of the Year, Tyler Kolek? Can they contain Cam Jones a little bit, who's been an elite bucket getter? And if you remember, the first meeting between Marquette and St. John's at Carnesecca Arena, the Red Storm led by 8 at the half. Omax Prosper went off and ended up with 29 points, a career game. St. John's has allowed 96 points in 2 games against the Golden Eagles. Joel Soriano said that cannot happen again. And I don't know about you guys, I'm not getting in his way in a New York alley.
No, and listen, and Tariq knows him better than anybody, is that you could dissect and you could talk about, you know, the the pros and cons of St. John's offensive at times, when they're getting out in transition, who's knocking down shots on the perimeter for Mike Anderson. One thing we do know is every single time Mike Anderson's club has gotten a good win this season, it started at the defensive end.
No question. And Joel said it earlier. If you give up 90-plus points versus this Marquette team, it's very, very hard to beat them. And the biggest concern for St. John's is can they guard and hold Marquette from getting out in transition, because their last game, I think Marquette scored 30 points in transition. And it's not just Kolick. It's Cam Jones is a bucket. I mean, this kid is I don't think people talk enough about him because he is probably their most talented offensive player. And then you add Prosper and all the other role players. They're deep. They got guys coming off the bench, 3 or 4 guys. The freshman Ross is another guy that does a lot of dirty work, kind of like Josh Hart did at Villanova. And they translate into winning plays. So I really like this Marquette team. Shaka Smart's a phenomenal coach. They've had a great year, and St. John's has got their hands full.
Let's turn to game 2 of the day. It delivered the most drama on this Wednesday at the Big East Tournament and is the latest form of evidence. Inside this building, it's not over until it's over. Because with 17 seconds left, the folks in South Orange were thinking bunnies. They're still thinking bunnies, but for a very different reason, because DePaul came back and won this game 66-65. How did they do it? Well, they did it with an amazing finish, and they got it from a bucket, one bucket by Dalen Terry, who steps up for the Blue Demons. And then off of a turnover, on a 3 from Umoja Gibson, he gets fouled by Casey Nadefo. All 3 free throws go in, and then this is what happens down the stretch, fellas. Femi Odikali, let's run it here, driving the floor. He goes the length of the floor. He puts up a shot.
Great drive.
And it's called goaltending on the floor, which sends the officials to the monitor. We're taking a look here at the last minute of this game. Vin, take us through what transpired.
Well, I'll tell you, and listen, well, we're catching ourselves up here, and Tariq's right. I mean, the golden rule late game situation, that foul by Nadefo was a killer. Shaheen Holloway was completely baffled and puzzled at that time. He did a great job on Gibson in the second half. These 3 free throws were actually his only points at that moment of that second half. Knocks them down. They get the action going. And here's the rule of thumb. You usually get about a dribble per second. 1, 2, 3, 4. Meet at the rim. And, folks, here's how the rules work. If this was called a block on the floor by the officials, it was not allowed to be reviewed. This was allowed to be reviewable because a goaltend was called. And that's why when you see officials, if there's any slight doubt, if the play is close, they'll always lean towards calling the goaltend in this scenario because they know they're able to go back to the table.
Yeah, it was a perfectly officiated game. I mean, this was a textbook game for officials on how to get it right. And to your point, they called the goaltend. If there's ever any doubt, that's what's going to happen. Under 2 minutes, it cannot be reversed if it's called a block. That's why they called a goaltend. In real time, it looked like a goaltend. In real time, I thought it was a goaltend. But then when we saw the replay several times, you quickly realize that Ojenda made a beautiful block. And when we talked to Ojenda, what did he say, John? He said he knew that it was a good block.
Yeah, he did.
He's had many blocks like that before. And I believe him because he has changed their team since he's been back. He's a rim protector. He gives them an anchor defensively, and there was no bigger play than that defensive block right there.
But let's be honest here. I mean, yes, that Shaheen Holloway is not going to sleep tonight. Pirate fans are not going to sleep tonight. But when you get past that play and block, when they're able to catch their breath tomorrow and watch this film, it's going to be a handful of other scenarios and plays.
Oh, no, this is a
that
nightmare scenario
give them an
for
ulcer.
Yes.
I mean, inbounds passes, an initial inbounder, teammate open, fouling the three-point shot. It's scripted every way wrong for the Pirates down the stretch.
It was an unraveling and a learning experience for all involved because we've noticed and seen Seton Hall win these types of games in this building over the years. And tonight, DePaul did not quit. That's part of the Blue Demons mentality. Here's their head coach, Tony Stubblefield. We are joined by DePaul head coach Tony Stubblefield after the Blue Demons' incredible Big East tournament win over Seton Hall, 66-65. Blue Demons and Xavier Thursday night, 7 Eastern time, FS1 in the quarters. Tony, your team is down by 4. with 17 seconds on the clock. Why didn't they quit?
This is a resilient bunch. Them guys could have gave into it 2 or 3 times during the course of that game. They could have gave into it many times during the course of this year, being on a 12-game losing streak. But just older, experienced guys, and they never gave into it. And our motto is find a way, and it's a 40-minute game. And, that proved to be true tonight. So really proud of those guys.
Coach, walk us through the last play when JT gets the steal. Out of that timeout, were you trying to trap or go for a steal first and then foul, or what was your strategy there?
We called the timeout, and we wanted to go for a steal first.
Okay.
We our jump ball, because the possession was in our favor. So we wanted to go for a steal or the jump ball, and we were fortunate that Jalen got that 3, and he had the awareness to find Mo Gibson at that 3-point line. So just very fortunate there.
Nick Ongenda has been through so much this season. Describe to all our viewers out there what that road has entailed and how rewarding it is for you as his coach to watch him get this moment tonight.
Nick has been through so much. Nick had one of the better summers and falls out of any player I've ever been around. And 3 days before the season opener, breaks a bone in his wrist. And he's out for about a month and a half. He goes back to the doctor thinking he's going to get the cast off, that he's going to be ready to play, and they had to do another surgery. So now he's sat out until February. And again, coming back in the Big East, as tough as this league is, after missing 25 games, is very, very hard. And not only has Nick come back, he's been a major contributor to our team. I mean, he's added a lot of confidence in us from a defensive standpoint, obviously shot blocking, but just being able to throw the ball down to the post and his athleticism. And I'm just really proud and so happy for Nick and his family that, he's getting reward for this.
Coach, now you have to shift gears now. I mean, you're going to enjoy this win, and now you go up tomorrow night versus a really good Xavier team. What are your first thoughts about that matchup and what is it going to take for you guys to advance?
Xavier's a very good basketball team. They're very good offensively. They're very good defensively. They're really connected. Sean Miller's a great coach. And we're going to have to be on top of our game for 40 minutes tomorrow to give ourselves a chance. But we know how good Xavier is, and we're just going to have to be ready to play.
Tony, to walk into this building, and it is a new season. You're one of 11 that's got a shot here this week. That's the beauty of this tournament. To have that moment out there with a packed Garden. The Garden was packed by the end of this game for DePaul basketball, for this program. Just how cool is that for you?
It is. Just very excited and just really happy for our guys. Again, because they've been through a lot over the course of this year. And this is just the 3rd game that we've had our full team. We had them all for 8 minutes against St. John's about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We had them this past Saturday against Creighton in the night. So just have our full team, all our bullets, and just it's about surviving and advancing. But this is the Big East. This is what the Big East tournament's all about.
And they survive and advance to meet the Xavier Musketeers, who they split with in the regular season, 7 Eastern time, Thursday night. How's the Thursday night sound for the DePaul Blue Demons in the world's most famous arena?
Sounds great to me. We're in the big city one more night.
We'll see Coach Stubblefields tomorrow. We are joined by DePaul. Welcome back to Big East Shoot-Around from Madison Square Garden. We are at the Big East tournament, recapping round 1 of the tournament. The winners, St. John's, DePaul, and Villanova. You heard from Kyle Neptune and Justin Moore just moments ago to kick off the show. Fellas, yeah, you were referencing bunnies. It's about the expressway from New York Penn to South Orange at its best is 42 minutes. I've been on that train, and I guarantee you, I've fallen asleep, and it's ended up in like the middle of nowhere, New Jersey. There's a couple others who have done that here tonight.
Yes, and that happens when your team has a rough one.
Yeah. One can only hope that the NJ Transit engineer was in a decent mood. He probably wasn't. Let's hear from Nick Ongenda, who was in more than a decent mood tonight because he had the game-winning block. We are joined by the DePaul hero, Nick Ongenda, who delivered the game-winning block for the Blue Demons, who beat Seton Hall in the Big East Tournament first round, 66-65. Blue Demons will meet Xavier Thursday night. Nick, let's begin with the play of the game, the play of the tournament thus far. You skying on Femi Odikali for a block, call the goaltend. When the officials went to the monitor, what were you thinking?
I mean, I already knew it was gonna be a block. You know, I'm not trying to sound cocky, but I had countless blocks like that. You know, so I knew it was going. Like, regardless of all the noise and stuff, it was a sure thing.
I want to ask you, I mean, just talk about your journey and let these viewers know, what it's been like for you. Missing 25 games, broken wrists. A lot of guys would not have come back and given up their whole season to play just a few games. Mm-hmm. And now you're getting rewarded for it by advancing to the quarterfinals in the Big East tournament. Mm-hmm. What does that feel like, and what has that journey been like for you?
I mean, it was hard in the beginning when I initially got hurt, but my teammates from the start have always been 10 toes. They always been with me. They always been supportive. So I knew these group of guys were my family, and I had to reward them initially by coming back, I love these guys, and they play their hearts out. And even after losses, they came back, practiced just as hard the next day. So that obviously gave me the confidence to come back and be like, yeah, this is it. Forget all that coming back next season, you have extra season. I was ready to play these games, and I worked out constantly to get in shape again and get right back to it. So, yeah.
Testament to you and
to my guys.
John, we talked about this. We watch a lot of Big East games,
yes,
right? And it is clear that with this young man in the lineup, you are a different team because of your shot blocking presence, your athleticism, your length. It allows the guards to get out and pressure more. I mean, what does your team feel like the ceiling is for your team right now that it's kind of a new season?
The sky's the limit, Postseason, we like to say 1-0, So after this, it's just up from here, you feel me? So energy's running high. Our team's ready to keep going and keep performing. And yeah.
It's 65-61. Seton Hall on top with 17 seconds to go in a game. We don't have win probability in front of us, but we all know what normally happens. Why did this DePaul team not quit?
Just like I said, practice. Just testament to practice. Every time we lose, we come right back to it. You feel me? So we always come in stronger than ever. Keep going, keep grinding. We never give up. And it showed at the end, you feel me? JT got that game-winning steal. Yamoja got the free throw line. You saw we all had confidence that he was going to knock down all three for real. So it's just a show of how much work we put in and how we're always ready for any situation.
Nick, congratulations and thanks for joining
so
us.
Much.
Good luck tomorrow night.
Thank
we'll
you.
see the
Thank
Blue
you.
Demons
right.
on a Thursday night in Manhattan.
Thank you.
We are joined. Well, welcome back to Big East Shootaround. Vin Parisi, Tyreek Turner are with me, and we're breaking down the Big East Tournament first round action. Again, St. John's advancing past Butler. Red Storm will meet top seeded Marquette tomorrow, high noon Eastern time, FS1. Then at 2:30, it's the 4-5 game. You've got UConn and Providence. We'll get to that in a few moments. At 7, it'll be the DePaul Blue Demons and the Xavier Musketeers. Then at 9:30, now we know it's Creighton and Villanova. Villanova rolled tonight. They rolled 80-48. It was all business. Justin Moore was hot to start, 4 threes. Cam Whitmore with 19 points. Villanova's won 7 of 9. That was all business, fellas. And is it true, Vin, that you could see Villanova hoisting a trophy by week's end?
Listen, I think it's we knew coming into this that half the league that this was so wide open, especially the way Villanova ended the season, especially how many teams we have going to the NCAA tournament. Have a possibility at this thing. I think when you talk about the Nova Creighton matchup, I think you're in a scenario to where perimeter defense is at the top of the list to keep an eye on for both of them. I think is Shireman or the Blue Jay guards able to get off from deep, and then how does Creighton match on the perimeter with forcing and contesting, the deep attempts that the Nova guards like to take. But the X factor is going to be the big fella Kalkbrenner inside, and how Nova operates in the paint. It's fascinating from a chess match standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Nova and you look at the impact Justin Moore's had on this team, it just kind of resets everything, because now you have a guy that can make plays on or off the ball